Good morning, world. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I am your host, Cliff Sargent. What's going on? What a glorious day. Let's talk about some Joseph Conrad. Heart of Darkness. Quintessential Man on a Boat book. I recommended this a year or two back to a good friend of mine who was going up for 6 months to the Yukon River in Alaska to hang out on a boat with very few people, like 5 other guys or something, 4 or 5 other guys, and deliver fuel to these remote towns along the river. And I recommended that he read this book while he was doing that. And he said it completely changed him. When I saw him 6 months later, he was far quieter. His hands were completely calloused, and his demeanor in general had matured. He had gone beyond the boundaries set by himself. He consciously traveled to somewhere unknown to do something he knew would be difficult and to challenge himself. He took a big risk. Spending a lot of time by and inside yourself can yield some really positive benefits. It can also force you to confront yourself or a reality that you hadn't previously understood, and often you won't like what you find. And in a very reductive sense, this is the territory of Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. And now I'm going to say this next anecdote in a British accent.
That's funny, I was looking forward to a bit of rum-tum.
Because us Americans just can't get enough of that shit. Goodreads reviewer George Bradford said that his father once caught him frowning at the small size of a gift that he had received when he was a child. Until his father told him, "Dynamite comes in small packages." Precisely, Mr. Bradford. Well played. Did I just pillage a review to augment my own review? Yes. Yes, I did. Which is quite appropriate for a review on a book the subject of which is colonialism. Cold. Dante's Inferno, except Dante is a young English ivory trader, embarking on a journey down the winding snake-like river into hell. Heart of Darkness was published in 1899. Conrad was a Polish chap who didn't speak English until he was settled in England and learned it in his 20s. Today he's considered one of the greatest English authors of all time. Well played, Mr. Conrad, well played. Conrad's early life, of course, as you guessed it, was absolutely dark as hell. You noticing a theme with writers? He was orphaned at the age of 11. He was a terrible student, but excelled in only one subject: geography. So being a shitty student, his uncle, who he was living with after his parents passed away, was insistent on him learning some maritime skills. So when Conrad was 13 years old, he officially decided to become a sailor. Prodigal, fuck that, nautical. Teaching bitches how to swim. Later on, when he was 20 years old, he got into some pretty heavy debt and tried to kill himself by shooting himself in the chest with a revolver. Tumblr wasn't around. You didn't have blogs dedicated to telling you how to kill yourself if you're 15 and depressed, I'm sorry. He was a merchant marine for 19 years, working various positions. And once he was in his early 30s, he started working for a Belgian trading company, which landed him in the middle of the jungle on the Congo River. And this particular trip, is where this whole idea began to brew, to fester. He was the captain of the steamboat only because the fucking captain who actually was appointed captain died in the middle of the trip from getting sick, and died on the boat. For Conrad, this trip would never leave him emotionally or physically. He literally is the character in Heart of Darkness, Charles Marlowe. The man who witnesses the horror and cruelty of European imperialism. The story concerns Charles Marlowe relating his account of being the captain of a steamboat for an ivory trading company, journeying down the river in the African jungle and arriving at the company's station and witnessing the horrible devastation therein. Literally seeing native chained men being worked to death, exhausted to death. Some truly visceral, beautiful descriptions in this book. He meets the chief accountant of the company, and this accountant tells him about a man named Kurtz. Now, throughout his journey, Marlowe keeps hearing about this man named Kurtz, and he begins to take on this kind of mythological figure. News comes that Kurtz is ill and he must be retrieved. So the descent goes further into the green hell. They meet men who begin to talk about Kurtz as being a man who is worshipped by the natives as a god. Marlowe begins to realize that Kurtz has sort of gone off the deep end and has become this misanthropic, violent, wanton, deified, half-man, half-beast philosopher. And does Charles Marlowe find Kurtz Yes. Yes, he does. Oh yes. But you have to read it to find out, otherwise what the hell am I doing? I mean, if you're a Hemingway fan or a Cormac McCarthy, then get a copy of this as soon as possible. This is right up your alley. Poetic descriptions laced with the constant sense of dread. As soon as this character Kurtz begins to gain power from this mythological status, we just keep hearing about it from all these men who are half insane in the jungle. It goes directly back into what people fear most. Of course, that being fear of the unknown. And Kurtz has indeed journeyed into unknown territory. He literally embodies the unknown. He knows what the others don't, whether it be madness or not. He has sacrificed prestige and honor and reason. And for this, he exists all-powerful as something that should be feared. Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Way better than food. So please remember what Mr. John Waters said: if you go home with someone and they don't have books, don't fuck them. But keep in mind what MC Ride said as well. Responsibility is cool, but there's more things in life. Like getting your dick rode all fucking night. Have a great day.